thing says recording in progress now, so now I know. Cool. Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Network, Real Boxing Talk. We're talking real boxing. I'm also talking to the computer. She's got a nice voice, by the way. Anyhow, we are going to cover quite a bit of stuff today. John and Charles are with us as almost always. Every now and then someone disappears, but not quite that often. So, and I disappeared during the course of the show, but that's another story entirely. We have, first thing we're going to talk about today is what's happened in the recent past. Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez for the unified junior welterweight belt. Now, we'll get into a lot of things there, but first of all, and something I was unaware of, maybe I probably should have been, this is the sixth time since we've had four belts that one person has held all four belts. Now, if that had happened, started in 2012, that wouldn't shock me. But I believe it was 1988 was when the IBF came on board, or WBO, or whomever. Now we've got four belts, and it's been a while. So that's pretty impressive, most of my lifetime. So I didn't realize that. So let's get into the fight. Charles, we were talking off the air about the aftermath of the Josh Taylor being a little upset and everything about the scoring. Does that matter at this point because he won the fight, or is it, hey, I'm looking for respect other than just being the four belt holder guy?
I think it matters to him because he thought the way that he performed, which is very impressive against the type of a guy, when you think about Ramirez, the way he comes forward and really a tough guy, an undefeated guy, and you thought the winner would get more respect, and I think they will down the line. But for him, I think he just wanted to say, look, I came in here, I handled my business. I initially put down the punishment on him by dropping him twice. That should mean something. And I think that's what he wanted more than just to say, well, yeah, you fought a good fight, you're okay. But and when in a sense, he felt like he was more dominant, and it was clear, even though the fight was close for a lot of people. But I think in his mind, that's him saying, hell yeah, I did what I did. Give me my respect. But I think the people, the public, and the media saw it for what it was. And they respect him because, as you mentioned, he has four belts, he's undisputed, and he's in an area that could be very lucrative depending on what he wants to do. You're at 140, guys coming up from 135. You could feel froggy and leap to 147 if that's what you want to do, because you're the guy. And there's still some decent guys at 140 too. So I think he's saying that because he's kind of a little pissed off, felt he deserved more credit. But his time's coming. I think he's done more than enough to get the respect he's looking for.
Good. And John, we're looking at the fight was scored unofficially 114, 112, 114, 112, 114, 112. Does that seem right to you? I know you wrote about it on Max Boxing. Does that seem like that's close to the way it should be?
I didn't see it that way.
Sorry about that.
Right. No, I didn't see it that way. I had Taylor 115, 111, easy. I could even seen 116, 110. But see, the thing is the later in the fight, Ramirez was coming on the best he could, considering that second knockdown, even though afterwards he said he wasn't hurt, which was bull. He was really hurt when he got jolted with that uppercut.
Rocked, yeah.
And the fact that he recovered and came on, but I think it was some of it was maybe Taylor was a little tired, or you just went into cruise control. And as we know, that could be dangerous. Ask Oscar De La Hoya against Felix Trinidad when he went into cruise control and he lost the fight because of that. Even though I still thought he won the fight, he lost it according to the judges. So that was. I think some of it's on Taylor in the sense that he took his foot off the pedal a little bit and let Ramirez more in. He didn't punch as much. But again, the flip side is you get to Ramirez to find that the guts, the moxie, the determination to keep coming, even though. And then Robert Garcia was really pushing him, really prodding him. This is for your family. This is for your country. This is for this. This is for Fresno. And he did everything he could to try to get back in the fight. And according to some of the judges, he got closer. I had Taylor. I already had Taylor as the winner way before the decision was even announced. So when they said 114 to 112, I kind of went, oh. And because there were some people that were telling Taylor he couldn't get a decision against Ramirez in America.
Right.
And that's, I hate that. I hate that when they do that in England. I hate that, you got to give a guy a fair shot. You can't be fricking around with the judges has got to see the fight, hopefully the right way. We can go into all kinds of ideas why or thinking why it happens or whatever, but Taylor won that fight fair and square. He showed what a gutsy Scotsman he is, and Ramirez showed what a gutsy guy he is. So I think it was the fight we talked about. Last week we said it was going to be a really good fight. It was a really good, competitive fight between two very good fighters, and Charles was right. A lot of people are going to be moving up to 140. Gervonta Davis is moving up to 140 here soon. Hopefully he's not moving into jail cell here after that, but that's another story. But there's that, and there's just a lot going on. Teofimo is probably done at 135 after his fight in a few weeks. So, that's where they're going. But let me throw this one caveat out there. Maybe Taylor is going to be fighting Terrence Crawford here next.
There are so many possibilities within 10 to 15 pounds that are just amazing what could come out of it. Yeah, I was thinking that there's Garcia's probably like, you're fighting for this blade of grass and your home turf. And jeez, okay, dude. Even if that's happening, guy, somewhere in my head going, really? Or can't you just tell me how to win the fight? But we're looking at a lot of things, and not to get into that, that's something we can do at a later date. But looking at moving up, moving down, unifying belt, and now I think that Taylor just planted a target on his back or his front, so to speak. Charles, why don't we get into it? From 135 to 147, does this jumble things up, or does it kind of make things easier to understand?
No, I think it makes it a little bit easier to understand. I mean, for more or less for Taylor. I mean, because he's been talking about he wants some respect. He was undefeated. You beat another undefeated guy. You decide what you want to do. Everybody they had to make decisions one way or the other. You're the guy sitting in that seat. 135, you mentioned Gervonta Davis moving up. Some other things with Crawford at 147. The number of other guys that, you mentioned about Lopez could move up to 140. So I don't know about clear cut, but I think it's established. You mentioned that target. Everybody watched Josh Taylor, right? They said, look, most guys are thinking, yeah, he was impressive, but you know how the boxers are. I think I can get him. And he got 4 belts. So guess what? I want him. So now the Devin Haney's and the other guys like that too, right? The other guys are like, I think we can get him. So it has that target. I think everybody's going to be climbing for him, which is great for Josh Taylor. Because if he say he's the guy that he is and he believes it, we look real good against Ramirez, then that's what you want. So he's definitely a target. And as far as opening it up, I don't think it was a little cloudy. People were just slow on the draw right now. But now, like you said, you have a target. So we'll see how that plays out. Who's going to be the first one to really legitimately step up and go, I want that shot?
Is it something, John, where Terrence Crawford says, I'm not getting what I want at 147? Why don't I go back to 140?
Nah, I don't think he wants to go back. When you're older, even though he's not old, but losing weight like that, even if it's just 7 pounds, I mean, that's significant. And I think, like I said last week, if I'm him, I'm so angry at Bob Arum that I want to fight. So if they offer me Taylor with a substantial paycheck, I'm going to take it at 147. And I don't doubt they're going to say you need to go down to 140 because Taylor already said he would move up to fight him. So, I mean, would they have a catch weight?
Okay.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's really 146, 140. If they fought at 145, I don't think Terrence Crawford cares. The thing about Terrence Crawford and Josh Taylor that I learned about Taylor too is that these guys are legitimate fighters. They like to fight. They don't just do it like we think Gary Russell does, just because he's really, at least my theory, that he's really good at it and he can make money, so he does it once a year. These guys like to fight. They like it. They like the physicality. They like the competitiveness. They like it all. So Crawford is probably he's just stomping at the bit. He's so ready to get in there. He didn't say anything about it, which I found interesting. So he did say one thing. He said, okay, it went the way I thought it would. Okay, so in other words, he thought Taylor would win. But Bob Arum said that he could make the fight, make it. And then after that, if I'm Terrence Crawford, like I said last week, I see you, Bob. I'm done. So, yeah, because he hasn't been treated well at all. I keep saying this every week, but it's just an atrocity as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you're not talking about a piece of garbage here, Bob. Come on, man, please. So Top Rank, another story. But yeah, so and then of course we have I don't know if you were going to talk about this, but speaking about Devin Haney, he's fighting this weekend against Jorge Linares, which is really an intriguing one.
Right, it should be a good fight. Yeah.
Yeah, the young guy and the old guy, and Linares is the guy who knocked Lomo down and was giving him hell until he got stopped. And he's a former three-time champion. So this is a real big test for Devin Haney. We really see more of what he's got. Linares is probably faster than anybody he's even ever fought. Linares is 35, but he's still fast. So as you guys said, I mean, this whole area from 135 to 147, right around there, even 154 in a sense, it's very, very intriguing right now. And it's got a lot of things going on that you could say, okay, I can see this, I can see this, I can see this. So that's good. That's really good for a matchmaker.
Well, as we segue, which we love to do, segue into speculation. And I know that I've said that I rarely do homework, which I really don't, but I have a little piece prepared. Okay, Charles, this is for you. All right. Boston Celtics, LA Lakers, USC, UCLA, Cubs, Cardinals, Ali Frazier, Tiger Phil. Do you see where I'm going here? Rivalries, trilogies. Does Fury Wilder fit into any of this, or is just another fight coming up?
Wow.
Alabama, Auburn. I forgot that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because the way that it came about is kind of funky. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of duped the people. People thought they were past this. And maybe that's the way they did it on purpose, to kind of get you ready. Like, oh yeah, we signed a contract with Joshua and Fury, and it's going to be great. And then all of a sudden they go, just like that, and they break it down, and here you are right back. But then again, you, despite what has transpired, you want to see it. You want to see it because of the factor that Wilder has got rid of his trainer, he's doing things, saying all this stuff, these things were happening to him. And now he has another opportunity to show you that everything he said is true. And what Fury was doing, that he's a liar. And Fury, of course, like, I'm the Gypsy King, blah, blah, blah. So as much as you turn your face onto it because you had to wait so long, it is intriguing. So as far as one of the greatest battles of all time, I don't know about all that. I mean, I don't even know if it's a rivalry, truthfully. It was two guys, they kind of fell into each other, and you're like, okay, why didn't you just give us a third one a long time ago instead of all this BS, right? But it is what it is. But I think that it's worthwhile watching. I'm intrigued by it. I'm glad, because now we can clear the air. And that's why the reason why I want to see it is because after this fight, you make your decision. Even if Wilder wins, we have a clear understanding of what this really is. And then that opens the door for the Joshuas or whoever it may be. I've wanted for a long time for them to clear the slate and let the rest of the division breathe and move on. Because I think, unfortunately, this was a stalemate and held things up in the division. And with it being whatever the
For at least 3 years,
whatever the outcome is, it releases the division to move forward, and that's what I wanted to see.
Okay, John. So we're looking at, we finally get what we've been looking for. And as Charles says, it clears the air for the division. Let's do what we do. Let's speculate past that. We'll come back to it later. Let's speculate past that. All right. Let's say Fury wins and Fury retires, which is, I would think, what would happen. It may or may not happen that way. And then that leaves Wilder, as I mentioned before, we won't get into that argument again, but off to the side. Now we've got, is it Joshua Usyk? Is that what they're talking about? Joshua's mandatory? Yeah. So we have Joshua Usyk and we have all these other little moving parts. Okay, well, let's go there. Is that what happens? Win or lose, Fury's done after this.
Retires after the Wilder fight? No.
Yeah. No. Okay.
No, I don't see it. He wants to fight Joshua, and we have to go back to the Wilder thing because I got some real views on,
sure.
on what. Okay. No, I think Fury. The goal for Fury is to fight Joshua. And see, I'll say this though, partly of what I was going to say with Wilder. I don't think this is a big deal to me. Okay, we have to wait a little bit longer. Why don't we wait so damn long anyway? Who cares? Let Wilder fight Fury, get that out of the way. Let Usyk fight Joshua, get that out of the way. Then the winners fight.
Okay.
If it's next January or whatever, who cares? I mean, it clears up a lot of things. And then the big fight, they get the big fight in England. That's what I was thinking. I mean, if they didn't sign anything at Saudi Arabia, they get what they wanted. They get Wembley. They get the two. I mean, how can that be bad? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got to wait.
Another 6 to 8 months. What's the big deal? Right, yeah.
Big deal. I mean, I think I'm the only person who didn't have a problem with this. I mean, I had all these friends call me, goddamn Wilder, blah, blah, blah. And I'll just say this because we're going to go back to real fast. About Wilder, I don't have a problem at all with it, what he did. If I signed, it's very simple. If I signed a contract and you signed a contract, it's binding. Don't give me any of this bull that it expired because of the pandemic. Bullshit. You signed, I signed. That means we fight. I've wanted this. You've been playing around. Tough.
We fight, right.
So, but while people are moaning and groaning about this, he's an athlete. If I was him, I would have done exactly the same thing because he feels like he wants this fight badly. He wants to prove something. How can you blame a guy for that? So we're gonna go back to that. So I'll save the rest of that.
We'll go back to it, right?
Yeah, right. But no,
Charles.
Real fast though. Let me finish, Frank. I just think it clears, like Charles said, it clears things up, and that's all good.
Okay. Well, the nuts and bolts of this are we're 2 weeks from, or 2 months from, what is this? Wednesday, Monday. 2 months from Monday, this fight's gonna happen here in Las Vegas at the Allegiant Stadium, home of the Raiders. The nuts and bolts of this. For either one of these guys, Charles, is this turnaround? Are they in shape? Are they ready to go? Is it too quick? Who does it favor? Amongst other things we've gone to, but that particular thing.
Off the top of my head, I'm going to say it favors Fury, because Fury's been, he's ready. He's been talking about this, and I'm sure he's been thinking he's going to fight Joshua anyway. But maybe that's what Wilder wants. He wants you to be asleep. He wants you to think that he has not been working out. And from what we saw, he has been working out. He has been in the gym. So off the top of my head, I'm going to say Fury. But the question is with Deontay Wilder is, who is he? Can he rebound? There's a lot of questions. Right. I mean, to the average person, it's Fury. But I think that's what makes it even more intriguing. And I am surprised. Two things. Here's the intrigue. I am surprised that the day came up so quick. Because it's like, Wilder, what have you been doing? You've been saying you just been in psychiatric treatment allegedly, or whatever the hell you've been doing. Dealing with that, dealing with your emotional issues. And then all of a sudden it's like, July 24th, let's fight. It's like, okay. So I think that's the intrigue, which I love it, but from the basic guy, I would say, I'd say Fury.
Okay. Now, we understand the pandemic and how that skewed the calendar and all this stuff. But I remember when, if you want to call it a fight, when Mayweather was fighting McGregor, and I was here in Las Vegas, and I had a chance to talk to some people. I talked to one of the directors of one of the sports books, who would remain unnamed because he told me to sue me if I put it in the paper. But he said, this was Christmas in July. We don't have this action in July. This doesn't happen. So, John, looking at this happening now, is there, as we said, as Charles said, was there a reason to put this on now? This isn't part of the normal way of doing things. Now, granted, we're talking about, a lot of other factors going into this, but does it feel rushed?
Maybe a little, but I think if you're Wilder, you're thinking, look, if I say I want to delay this, God knows if it'll ever happen. It'll be the same thing that they'll say that I'm delaying it when I've been wanting it. I'm talking out both sides of my mouth. So he pretty much had, because of what he did, it backed himself in a corner where when it came down on his side, he had to say, okay, let's find a date. Now, Aram said July 24th. From what I've seen, I do agree with Charles. I think it likely favors Fury a little. He lives out in Las Vegas. He's been supposedly working out, or not Las Vegas. He lives near Las Vegas. I think Wilder, and I do this probably too much, but we're all athletes, and I'm thinking that if you're motivated by wanting to prove something of revenge, you pretty much passed a lot, because he hasn't said much at all. If you notice, he's gone very quiet, Wilder, which I think is very wise. You don't need to say anything, Deontay. Nothing. Focus on your training with your new trainer. I think he's in pretty good shape right now. If I'm him, I'm thinking, I got time. I'm going to get ready. It doesn't give me a lot of time to think about what happened before or whatever. I'm going to work with Malik Scott. The thinking is he's not going to listen to Malik Scott. I was thinking I would do a Rocky 2 with him. I'd say, look, if you're not going to listen to me, let's watch the film of the second fight. This is what happened to you. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't want to hear your excuses. This is what this guy did to you. So we have to come up with a plan so this guy won't do this to you again. He doesn't walk you down. You got to figure out how to stand your ground and fight with him, not let him bully you around like that. I know you don't like it, but deal with it. If he can do it without getting fired right there on the spot.
Right, well, yeah.
Right? But I think I do. I love underdogs. I always have. That's why I love Rocky so much. If any human being who's ever been in a position where someone says you can't do it, oh man, is that motivation to me. So I'm gonna be writing articles where people are gonna go, what is he talking about? Because I think Wilder's got a shot here. I mean, he's probably not gonna win, but I love the human thing, and it's gonna have to take Fury being totally overconfident and Wilder being on his game and catching him. But Wilder is an athlete. Remember, people forget that he was like 20 when he started boxing. Everyone puts down his skills. Okay, his footwork's not that good and all that. The man can jab. The man's got dynamite in his right hand. Give him a little bit, but then the thinking is, well, he'll just revert back to what he's always done. Probably true, but give him just a little bit. Just a little bit. Maybe he'll be able to catch Fury. Caught him in the first fight. So to me, there's a lot of little things going on here that everyone's going, Wilder's just going to, like my friend, Fury's going to knock him out in like 2 rounds. I'm like, I don't know about that. I think there's other things going on. I mean, I could be dead wrong, but I just like all the drama of the whole thing. There's a lot here.
Well, we're looking at something where, does he make a change? Charles, does Fury do the same thing? Or if it worked in the second fight, why wouldn't it work in the third fight? Or does Fury have to say, I'm smarter than that, I'm going to make a difference, I'm going to come in lighter, I'm going to come in heavier, I'm going to come in faster, I'm going to jab more, what happens with Fury? Does he make adjustments, or does he just kind of say, I dominated the last fight, I'm not sure that Wilder has anything different to do, I'll just do the same thing?
Well, considering that I hate to say this word, but I'm going to say it anyway, because he is very crafty,
Ding.
I think that he's not going to take the same approach. I think he's going to kind of say, we're going to see what Wilder does. It's kind of one of those things. It's like being what we call a boxing technician. We're going to start the first round out, kind of jab, maybe go after him a little bit and see what he does. Is he coming for me, or what his game plan is? And once you start seeing the game plan, now he's going to say, look, I can fight either way. I can walk you down. I showed you that. I can run from you, and I can, jab and move, stay away from you, and still take your punishment. So I'm going to let you decide how we roll. And once you make the mistakes, which I know you're capable of, because I showed you that in the second fight, then I'm coming for you. And I think that's what if Fury is the guy that we think he is and what he showed us in the second fight, because that was all planned out. We talked about the heavier weight. He said, I think I'm strong enough I can go to him and show him I'm not afraid of the bully, which is what he did. But I think he's like, you expect me to do the same thing. I'm going to come here real big. If you notice by looking at Fury, he's not really that big. You can tell that he's in pretty decent shape. When you watch him in the past fight, he's looking pretty good shape. He wasn't that, he was like, oh, okay. So I think that's going to be his plan. Because strategically, right now, I think he has the upper hand. Because I'm sitting on top. You don't know what I'm going to do. In your mind, as you said, and John said it great, they want to cut off the amount of time that he has to prepare. So Wilder does, because of the time he has to prepare, so he doesn't think about what happened. But deep down inside, he has to go, I wonder what this mug is going to be doing.
True. Very true.
If you ain't like, you don't know what I'm going to do.
I do whatever I want, right?
Yeah, and I'm going to say whatever I'm going to want to say, but I got your number, don't you? You said you want to, but deep down inside of your heart, minus the bad drinks and the heavy costumes and too many margaritas, whatever the hell you had going on, allegedly, I know. And as long as I know, I got the upper hand.
It seems almost like it's going to be a Bernard Hopkins, Winky Wright kind of start, where it's like, I'm just going to sit here, I'm going to figure out what's going on, and then I'll go from there. Or even better, I'll make a cross-reference. If you saw the movie Maverick, not the TV show, but the movie Maverick with Mel Gibson, I'm going to play the first hour, and I guarantee I won't win a hand. And then I'm going to kick your butt after that, because I'm going to pay attention to what you're doing. I'm going to figure out what's going on, what you're attempting to do, and now I know how to beat you. And see, the thing I think is that this is what you said. I can do the same thing because it works. But if you're preparing for the same thing, I'm going to have something else ready. So, John, when we're looking at Wilder, when we're looking at the new trainer, we're looking at all these other factors going in. As Charles said, does he have enough time to absorb that in 2 months? Obviously, he's been working longer than that, but maybe he's working with him for other stuff. Can they be Fury specific in 2 months to get that ready and motor set? Or is it going to be after the first 18 seconds, hell, then I'm just going to do the same thing I always do?
That's the thing. I mean, Malik Scott has been his sparring partner for a number of years, so they know each other. They fought the one time. Malik got blasted in one round. A lot of people think he just laid down, whatever. That's another story. But Malik is a boxer, see? So Malik is a boxer. So I'm sure he's going to work with Wilder on some tricks of the trade. Now, I did see some video where Wilder was stepping around and doing some things that I've never seen him do. So that's good. I mean, that's good. That means he's practicing it, whether he does it, in a game with all the pressure and everything. But Malik Scott, no experience as a trainer. So, I mean, this is like a movie again, this is crazy. Yeah. Apollo Creed coming over to train Rocky, in Rocky 3, but he's Apollo Creed, right? But Malik is a very shrewd guy. He's that word too, Charles. He's a crafty dude. Ding. Part 2. So that I like the fact that what Charles said, that you're not sure what Fury's going to do, but maybe Fury's not sure what Wilder's going to do. But I know this: if I was Malik Scott, which obviously I'm not, I would tell Deontay Wilder in the first round, don't go out there slow, jump on his butt. Come out real aggressive and see what happens. Just shock him. He's not going to expect you to come literally running across the ring. He's so tall, 2 or 3 paces, you'll be there in a second and start firing. Who knows? And then when nothing happens, then you back off a little bit and you start jabbing, throwing that long jab, and then you start working. But that's what I mean about throwing things in there. But again, the point is Fury will probably have 4 or 5 plans that he can fall back on. He'll be the if he does this, I'll do this. If he does this, I'll do this. Because that's how he is. But if I'm Wilder, I'm thinking I can't be as predictable. I have to try different things that give me a better chance to win. And Malik Scott and I are hopefully working on that. It's an uphill battle. No doubt about it. Very much an uphill battle.
Okay, well, that's going to take up a majority of the next 2 months of conversation. I can see that. So we'll leave a little bit there for the teaser for the next couple of weeks. But instead of going to what's happening now, let's tease another month past that. And we're looking on August 21st, almost a month from that. We still don't know the venue yet, but it's also going to be in Las Vegas. We have finalization of Errol Spence Jr. against Manny Evil Knievel Pacquiao. And we decided to call him that off the air because it's just, this is one of those things like, if you want to accept a challenge, go for it. This is a Snake River Canyon fight for Manny Pacquiao. Can I get this guy? I don't know. Charles, is this the fight that we should have got? Should have been able to foresee this? Because even though there's been rumors about this one kind of shocked me. Is this better than or worse than other options for either one of them?
Well, I mean, when you're sitting in the driver's seat, right? Nothing's wrong, nothing's bad for you. I mean, you can say as a casual observer or a fan, everybody wants to see Crawford versus Spence. But when you think about the money, Spence is like, it's Pacquiao. Everybody want to fight Pacquiao because everybody's going to be watching. And that's where the money's coming from. Right. So much you may say that Crawford deserves it more or whatever, that's your problem. Spence is like, this is the money fight. Everybody's going to be watching from across the world. A lot of people still believe in Pacquiao. If he can beat Thurman, he might have a shot at taking him down, taking Spence down as well. So, no, I think it's great. And plus, too, Pacquiao had the opportunity because Bob Arum they're kind of supposed to be okay and chummy or whatever, and they had deals going. He was supposed to be in Pacquiao's ear. He worked well with them for years. So for Pacquiao to take this fight tells me that two things happen. He's taking a bigger risk, right? And it's like, if this is my last fight, as you mentioned earlier, Frank, if this is the Pacquiao's last fight, you might as well get paid. And you're going to go for it? Go for it. There's no guarantee. He might surprise us. He surprised Keith Thurman. He's been able to come back several other times. But it's like, I can make this my last fight, and I'm going to get that money. I'm going to get that major money. Would I have gotten that same amount of money, Vince Crawford? Some people might say, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I really don't, because this is where there's a difference between A and B side. I know people don't want to like that. It's not about who the better fighter is. But right now, the bigger draw is Errol Spence Jr. It just is. He's the bigger draw as far as outside of Nebraska. And there's no disrespect to Crawford whatsoever, but it's the way they set him up. So Pacquiao came out and said, look, here we go. Let's do it. And it shocked everybody. And that shock is like, I got to see this fight. I have, and it's not in Saudi Arabia. You know what I'm saying? Wherever, hopefully they're like, it's going to be in America. And that makes it even more intriguing because how long we've been waiting for a real big fight. And when, you saw what Canelo has done last two times, imagine what this is going to be like, particularly if it's in Vegas. As you said, John, it's going to be in Vegas. Yep. They're back, baby. They're back. So now it may not be what you wanted to see, but damn it makes a lot more sense for the people that are trying to get the money. Crowds are going to be there. This is the showstopper. You can say what you want to about the heavyweights. This is the one.
It's going to be right over there. Right there. Right there. That's where it's going to, I don't know. It is going to be in town, but it should be right over here at MGM Grand. Yeah, it's amazing. Now, John, here's the question. And I'm actually going to ask a question instead of hemming and hawing around one for a change. Does this, I don't know if we're cementing Manny Pacquiao's legacy. I don't know if we need to do that. But is this the piece de resistance? Is this it? This is the fight. All the other stuff we've talked about, this fight with this guy, the Barrera fights and the Marquez fights and blah, 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 all these people he's fought, Mayweather, is this the fight to say 20 years from now, man, that Pacquiao? Or is it just, okay, it's a money grab?
No, this is big balls time, like we were saying. This is huge. I mean, Pacquiao is really going for a legacy. And in a sense, you got to love that about the guy. I mean, I think too that it's calculated, Frank. I think when you remember when he was there when Errol Spence fought Mikey Garcia, and he got in the ring with Errol Spence, and the talk was he was next, and then suddenly all that talk disappeared. I think because Manny went, man, this young stud, this guy's, man, that might be too much for my old bones. And I think it was like 39 then. Then Spence gets into that terrible, horrific automobile accident, somehow survives it. And then he fights Danny Garcia. And when he fought Danny Garcia, as good as he looked, he didn't look the same. There was something different going on. He didn't like it when he got hit to the stomach, the belly, which was kind of strange to me. I thought, that's how I would react. Why is he reacting like that? You know that Pacquiao saw this. And he thought to himself, hey, I might be ancient. I might be 42, but I'm still faster than him. I still got faster hands than him. The problem is going to be the longer the fight goes, because people forget this, that Pacquiao and Keith Thurman, yeah, he knocked Keith Thurman down in the first round, right? Everybody remembers that. But Keith was coming on hard in the last few rounds. Pacquiao was winded. Right. Keith was coming on, and then he landed the kryptonite shot for Thurman, who's got an issue with belly shots, and that took all the wind out of Thurman, and then he was able to hang on and win a split decision. Thurman was coming. If that fight was 15 rounds, Thurman would have won. I think he was coming. That's the issue that Manny's looking at is, okay, if I start fast and everything, and I'm able to stay away from some of this young stud's power, when I slow down, But I think he's willing to take the chance. Like I said, Evil Knievel, Big Balls Pacquiao. He thinks that he's got enough left, even though he hadn't fought for 2 years, right? But he's probably thinking, that doesn't matter. I'm feeling better now than I did. This is Pacquiao. I mean, he's kind of crazy like that. It's like, right. I don't care. You look at it as inactive. I look at it as I've been recharging my batteries. I've been Mr. Senator Pacquiao for a while. I've been sparring with my son a little bit, who's also a boxer. I feel great. I can hang with this dude, especially if that's the dude who fought Danny Garcia. I can hang with him. So he's going for it. And yeah, if he wins this fight, Frank, to me, he surpasses Floyd and all those guys. I mean, okay, he does. Beating Keith Thurman was incredible to me. I know Charles and I both didn't think he could do it. He did it. If he comes back after 2 years off and beats the top welterweight, who's probably in his prime, he is. I mean, he's rolling the dice. He is. He's rolling the dice. And the other thing is, real quick, there's a lot of pressure on Spence here. Because, yeah, he's going to get all the money that he's always wanted. But again, this is the danger when you fight an older guy. You lose. Everyone says, see, you were nothing really anyway. You were overrated. You win, they say, you just beat an old man. So it's more Pacquiao who's really rolling the dice, but it's also Pacquiao who could end up getting hurt more fighting this young stud. So I see, the thing is too, real fast, I don't think that Errol Spence was quite the one that will get in the Pacquiao fight. I think he'll be more like himself, unless that accident did something to him mentally and everything. Because he was more boxer puncher in that fight than puncher boxer like he was before. But again, so many intangibles for a boxing writer. This is like paradise time right now.
Okay, well, Charles, I'm going to ask the question off the cuff, and then you'll see where it's going from that. Just off the cuff, 3, 4, 5 top welterweights of all time.
Ooh, of all time?
Yeah, and don't overthink it. Just what the names that pop into your head.
So my question is, Ray Robinson considered a welterweight?
He won the welterweight title in 1940.
If you want to, yeah. If you want to put him there, put him there.
Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd Mayweather. You got to throw him in there.
Floyd Mayweather?
You got to throw him in there.
Jose Napoles.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean.
Okay, the reason I'm asking that question, because if this win for Pacquiao puts him in the pantheon of great welterweights or great lower weights, I guess I should say. What does this do if Spence beats Pacquiao? Is Spence now top 10, top 5, top 3? Does this propel him to the point where he's now a boxing living legend, or is he still just Errol Spence belt holder? Because he's looks like he's cleaned out the division, so to speak, other than Crawford. What's left for him to do if he wins this fight, especially if he wins it convincingly?
Yeah, I don't know. When I heard what John said about about putting Pacquiao up there, I think as an overall fighter, I agree with him.
Yeah.
But as far as welterweights, you didn't beat Mayweather.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
For me, you didn't beat
I'll give you
Mayweather.
that.
You can say what you want to for me, but you didn't beat Mayweather. But in regards to Spence, I'll say this. I think it does elevate him up there because he's done what he's supposed to do. But I still think there's one thing missing. You got to beat Crawford, bro. Everybody's calling for it. That as much as I think this will be impressive with the win over Pacquiao, he'll be elevated. He'll still be the guy, but he's missing that one fight. And it's hard to say that because you look at his record, he hasn't run from anybody, right? You fought Porter,
right?
Put on the list. But for him to reach that level, you talk about top 10, top 5, whatever, welterweights, you got to take Crawford, man. You get Crawford, then we're talking that level of the rising on that level. But Pacquiao is a nice step in the right direction. So you might be on level 20 or it might be below, and now you're headed up higher. So you're halfway there. The one shot, the Crawford win, puts you over the top. And Lord knows, I'm going to get off this real quick, let John in here. Don't let him fight Canelo and beat Canelo. Then, oh my God. Woo! Yes.
Well, for you old heads, we'll go back to playing Galaga. And you know how after, I think, level 5, you got the second little gun, the second little thing. I didn't know because it never happened to me until I did it accidentally. One time I went, I got 4 things to fire here. You've achieved something. You've moved up to that level where it's like, now you've got someplace. So I guess the question to you, John, is do you have to have that signature win to become an all-time great guy? I mean, what was the signature win for, say, Rocky Marciano? Was there a big, I mean, just because there was nobody to fight or no one that you were that dominant, what was the Larry Holmes signature win? Where when you're talking about that, and we hate to use this word, the bum of the month club, if there's nobody that has that kind of charisma that brings those people to you, is that your fault? So if Spence is king of the division, which I think we all are saying it is, except with exception not fighting Crawford, does this help him say, look, I'm as good as there is. I may not be the best of all time, but I might be. These guys haven't stepped up to the plate to do anything. Now I'm fighting Pacquiao. Now I'm going to prove my worth.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't have. You're right. I mean, that was a good analogy. He does not have that signature win. He has some impressive wins, obviously the Mikey Garcia, but that was a lot to do with the fact that Mikey moved up and he was overwhelmed.
Right.
But still, he was impressive. Danny Garcia fight after what happened. Again, there was that part after what happened. Impressive. The thing is we still really don't know how. To me, I still don't really know how good he is. I mean, he's obviously very good, but he might be great. But we're not going to find out unless he fights somebody that pushes him. Now, that guy from Ohio, that guy we talk about all the time, that former great high school halfback that's a great athlete, that guy Sean, that guy, can't think of his last name. He pushed him. Mm-hmm. He pushed him, and Spence said afterward, man, he thought he was going to knock out Sean Porter, and he did knock him down, but he pushed him hard. He needs that. He needs a guy like Crawford or somebody in that level to push him. Now, if he moves up to 154 and fights the Charlo brother at 154, now there you go. Because you're talking 2 elite talents. going at it.
Undefeated, right.
And that's what you want. It's just, again, I always do this because I'm just an old jock in a lot of ways. You want to go up against the guy. When you used to play one-on-one, you wanted to play a guy who was good. You didn't want to play a guy who wasn't any good. You want to test yourself. And that's what I think he needs if he wants. Now, I was going to throw something out there totally crazy, Frank. This is usually your job, but I'm going to throw one out there.
Crazy?
No. Yeah. Yes, you. Who knows? Maybe Spence is thinking about retiring. Maybe he thinks if I beat Pacquiao, I'm done. I got nothing to prove. Crawford don't want to fight me. I got nothing. That accident.
That's kind of where I was going, right?
You were going there. Okay. It shook him up to his core. He's got 3 little, very young daughters. He's lucky to be here. He's going to make $30 million probably against Pacquiao. He lives very simply, lives on a ranch. Very quiet guy. Maybe that's it. Maybe he's like, I'm done. So, I know it sounds crazy, but he doesn't seem that bugged about the Crawford fight. A lot less than we are. I mean, Crawford seemed more bugged to me than Spence. Spence is an easygoing guy, just like, whatever. I'm going to get the lotto. Ha ha. You know what I'd like to see real fast though? If he doesn't retire, fight Keith Thurman. Keith is like completely forgotten about. Nobody even really talks about him anymore. He's a joke. Spence called him a joke a few years ago. Okay, he's a joke. Fight him.
Well,
that looked good on his resume.
We're gonna delve into the current events here real quick, and then we'll get back to it. But you're saying the best want to fight the best. The best want to go against the best. So some do. So tell me, why was there a question? If one of the greatest defenders in the game wasn't guarding Luka Doncic last night, and why'd you put Paul George or somebody else on instead of Kawhi Leonard? That's another story entirely. Okay, but getting into, if you're a great defensive player, then the guy's killing you, you guard him. That's my way of looking at it, and it's kind of where we're at here. If you are going to be the anointed best there is, you fight the best there is. To me, that's it, or the best that there is available. And not to say Pacquiao's not that guy, I'm not saying that. But the fight of the century is Ali Frazier, both undefeated, both gold medalists, blah, 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 blah. You can't, both sides are equal on this. You can say what you want about this guy, and you can say the same thing about that guy. Styles are contrasting, records, the whole 9 yards. So if we're going to have an undefeated champion, let's have him fight an undefeated champion, if that's what we have available. Again, not saying that I'm not poo-pooing this fight at all. This is, like we said, this is going to be fantastic. Huge. I don't care what the result is. This is going to be huge. This is going to be wonderful. I think that I'm going to be more intrigued about this one, I believe, as the months go on, than I am going to be about the Fury-Wilder fight. Because in my head, I know how it's going to turn out. It probably won't, but in my head, I've already seen it. I'm pretty sure what I'm going to see. It's just a matter of how they perform, which will be the great part of the fight. But I don't think anything different is going to happen. It's just who does it better than the other. This one, I have no clue. Because, Charles, we've said any number of times, Pacquiao, it's like watching Rafael Nadal. Came out and did this. Couldn't volley, couldn't do. Now he's the best volleyer in the game. He worked at it. Pacquiao, the first fight that we've seen against Marquez, one-trick pony. We said that during the fight, or at least after the fight. Okay, that's great, but what else did you do? That's how Marquez got the draw. The next decade or two, he's improved on that. He's done things that he didn't do that fight. And granted, that was, when he was young. But that means he's able to make adjustments. The Jeff Horn fights. What he did in the first fight, he didn't do in the second fight. Whether you say whatever happened in the first fight, decision room cooking or whatever, he made sure that there wasn't a question in the second fight. So we don't know what Pacquiao's going to bring. And as John mentioned, we're not sure where Errol Spence is at this point either. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. But I'm more interested, since you guys are insiders here, let's give the fans, our followers, a little inside something here. How is this going to be shown to the public? market it, Charles, the weigh-ins and all this other stuff. As your marketing expertise and being an inside member of all this, how is this going to be brought to the public? Because I think that's going to be very important.
Yeah, well, I mean, considering you had to go for the larger scale, right? So the larger scale is, we know what PBC represents, right? We know they represent Showtime. So, I mean, if there's a blueprint and it's not broken, why fix it? I mean, you know the drill. If I'm them, I'm following you can say what you want to, I'm following TBE's blueprint, baby. I'm showing you all of the stuff. I'm going to the places, the hometowns. I'm giving you the weekly, the gist of it as to what they're doing, the families, all that. I'm spreading it out. I'm having special sit downs that the stuff Max Kellerman used to do. You know, I'm having them sit downs with them one-on-one. I'm bringing them together. And then I'm also going to do the other thing that they used to do too, is having many press conferences all over the country and even the world. I'm going to wherever I need to go, Mexico, wherever I think, if it's 5 different locations, I'm going there. I'm selling the hell out of this. And then at that point, I'm just going to hype it up. I'm going to hype it up, and I'm going to spread it all the way through. And then two, the reason why it's in Las Vegas is because we know in Las Vegas, there are a limited amount of seats. Everybody thinks you want to go to Cowboy Stadium and all that. Nah, the Floyd Mayweather rule is best. I know everybody wants to see the fight and you want to see 72,000 people, but you start selling tickets after you get past $50,000 at $20 a piece, it don't do nobody no damn good. Floyd said, look, I only want 17,000 people in the arena. Because other people are like, damn, I wish I could have got a ticket. I wish I could have got a ticket. What are they going to do? They're going to run pay-per-view, or they're going to run somebody else's house, or they're going to find any way possible by streaming, whatever they got to do to fight, to get to the fight. If that means closed circuit, even going back to the theaters, that's the way you make it hungry, because of the fact that you have an American champion that is from Texas. People love him down that way. And then you got a global champion. People just like Manny Pacquiao for what he's done good all the way around and what he represents, and just means to be a nice man once he turns his life around. So yeah, sell the hell out of it. And I think that's where you go about it. That's how you market it, because this is a global fight, bro. Global. Terrence Crawford and Spence is not global. This is global. Pacquiao fought everybody. He fought Floyd. He fought everybody. Fought a great fights versus Marquez, on and on and on. And for a so-called young lion to be going against this guy, that's how you press it and you sell it the way that it is. To me, truthfully, as much as everybody loves the heavyweights, right now, it's bigger than that, because we've seen that show already. We saw that show twice, but this is the third time. It's bigger than that because we don't know what's going to happen. Older guy, veteran, proven commodity. Younger guy coming back, proven commodity, but we still don't know. The intrigue alone will sell the hell out of this fight. And your boy's not in there anywhere to be around it, so that's going to make it even better. Anyway, I had to say that older gentleman.
Well, John, you know, you guys don't need me because you just asked the question I was going to ask without asking it. John, now we're looking at it. Is this a truly bigger global fight than Fury Wilder?
Oh, yeah.
Is this a bigger event?
Yeah, because Pacquiao's international. You know, he's world famous. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that would be like my poster. This is it. Manny Pacquiao, you know, something like that, because it's that big. And then somewhere under the last one or something, and you're promoting it as probably the last time people ever get to see Manny Pacquiao fight. So this is the way Floyd and McGregor went around promoting their fight. They wouldn't have all that smack talk like they did, but the way they did it, going all over the place. See, that's the blueprint of how you would sell something like this, because McGregor was so popular all over the place in Ireland and everything. And look how that dumb fight did when it came to buys and everything. Mayweather just played with him, and then when he decided it was done, it was done. But whatever you want to say about it, it was a genius of a marketing plan probably by Floyd Mayweather. So this one will sell itself, but also you do exactly the same thing, right? It's international. You have little documentaries. I was trying to think, what was the name of those HBO documentaries that they did years ago? They were like 30 minutes.
Mhm.
And you remember those? They were not 24/7. Yeah, was it 24/7? Yeah,
24/7. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Those were great. I thought.
Yeah.
Do those. Do 3 of those. Right? I mean, God, I wish I could be involved in those. Like, I mean, they did just a great job writing those.
We're volunteering to use our network. Yeah.
You bet. I mean, they did a fantastic job, and the actor who played Chuck Wepner, he narrated it perfectly. Just they did everything right. Showtime tried to match them, but didn't quite get it.
Right.
But do something along those lines, and then just like Charles said, I mean that's perfect. Let them go all over the country, and even out of the country, because the people that won't get to go will buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, if they don't go, if they don't do like Variety from Hollywood, this boffo business on this one, then I'm really going to be surprised, because again, you've got even though Errol Spence is younger and maybe more dynamic, Manny's the A guy here, because everybody likes him now. Like Charles said, he turned his life around, done a lot of things. He donates to the homeless. He does all this kind of stuff. So there's all kinds of stories that publicists can go crazy with here. And then you got Errol Spence, who defied that. So, I mean, it's just, it is just made for TV time, baby. So, I mean, come on. Don't drop the ball on this one, people. This one should go. This one should do great.
Is it safe to assume that this could be the biggest buy fight ever, Charles?
I don't know about that one, bro.
No.
Nah, because you bet the biggest buy fight. I mean, it's gonna be hard to surpass Pacquiao Mayweather. Everybody, their mother was waiting on that.
Yes.
So it's gonna be a hell of a fight, but you either love or hate Mayweather, and you wanted to see Manny take him down. And yeah, that alone just kind of stood on his own. And you finally got it after so many years. So I wouldn't say that, but they're going to do great numbers. They're going to do great numbers. One, because true boxing fans and those that are occasional boxing fans have been waiting for a real fight they can sink their teeth into. And as John said it so eloquently, if this is Pacquiao's last hurrah, you know what? Let's see it. Although Marquez is like, hell, why can't I get one more shot? But I think we want to see it. So yeah, big time.
Okay, so I still think that there should be a Marquez brothers against the Pacquiao brothers, but that's another story entirely. All right, so now, and we're gonna do this for the next couple of months. Now, here's what I see. We back this up in September with another Canelo fight.
Yeah.
Does that seem to make sense?
Yeah.
Because now we're going month to month to month, instead of being, as we've asked this question and talked about it any number of times, boxing season. Why do we have to have boxing season? Because again, we're looking at, we normally don't have big fights in July. We normally don't have big fights in August. And two of the biggest fights on the calendar are going to be in July and August. So let's see if we can start doing this. And the promoter's going to say, I don't care, because as we mentioned about this time last year, the calendar has been wiped out from the pandemic. That way of scheduling has been changed. So I believe we're starting to see that we're going in a different way. Maybe this guy says, I'm going to capture July. Maybe this guy says, I'm going to capture November, and I'm going to fight every 6 months. Or in case of Gary Russell, every 18 months. That's another story. But the way we're looking at it is, we have a big fight in July, which we don't normally have. We have one in August. We normally have big fights coming up September or October. So we've added that. And then we just kind of cycle it back around. So I asked the question again, Charles, that I've asked it a number of times, and you've laughed at me when I've asked it. Is boxing now? I'm gonna flip it around though. Is boxing alive and well now, as opposed to boxing dead?
I don't know about live and well. I think it's off the machine, right? It's breathing
off life support,
right? It's breathing on its own. It's off the machine, and because of what's happening, knowing that how much was missed, particularly with the fans, with the pandemic and whatnot. Now it's like, okay, let's hurry up and get this in, because now the fans can come back. We're passing these restrictions and whatnot. But ironically, I think it's off of life support. Also, too, you mentioned about they're kind of changing it up. The one thing that's not going to change is Canelo on the national Mexican holiday in September. That's already, and I think that's why you saw a lot of these fights being pushed to July and August, because it's like, we don't want to go up against Canelo. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
So that being said, but no, I think it's all life support, because now there's a lot of open doors. People want to see it. You had that other extra entertainment stuff we want to talk about, because that's its own genre, if you will. But there's a lot of room for entertainment. A lot of people are spending money because they're excited to be alive again. You don't have to really be so safe with your mask, and they want to be out. When I was out in Vegas recently, people were out. They're out having a good time, and come June 1st, they removing the mask, to a point. So no, I think that it's off life support. I think the promoters and some people are going like, especially the fighters, I'm not going to throw the promoters on there, but the fighters are like, now it's time to get this money. Let's go ahead and let's get back in the arenas. We took a year off. It was okay, but it wasn't the same way. We can make some money now. And I think that's why you have it out of the blue, Pacquiao versus Spence. Because it's like, did you lose a little bit? Yeah. Were you down? Yeah. That other fight against such and such was okay, but damn it, this is full-blown exposure. So I think that's what you're seeing more of the fights. And other fights, the fighters are going to say the same thing too. Crowds come back, get that money.
Okay, well, John, we're looking at July is Fury Wilder, Spence, I almost said Spence Crawford, Spence Pacquiao in August. More than likely, the way we look at it, a Canelo fight in September. What comes up after that? Because it looks like we're lining up big fights. What comes after that? That is a realistic match, not just a fight. A realistic, they'll put it together.
Well, we've got Lomo coming up in June before that also, which is intriguing to see what he's got. But also in August, Frank, I heard that it's possible that Joshua fights Usyk after the weekend after.
The week after, right?
So August 28th. After September, we've got Golovkin is talking about fighting, but not necessarily in October, but maybe in December. I haven't heard anything because they usually plan like 3 months in advance. I don't know about that. I am intrigued though that Plant or whatever hasn't signed the contract yet for the Canelo fight, even though he's been talking that he wants it. I don't really know what he's waiting for. Maybe he's hesitating. I mean, I don't know. I would love it if he said, "Nah, I don't want this," but it's not going to happen. But it's our dream. Like Andre goes, "Oh, I'll fight him. And it's him just to get him, just to stop all that chatter about that. Charlo's fighting soon, so he couldn't come back that quickly. But Plant, maybe he's probably trying to get more money, and I can't blame him for that. So no, you're right. I don't know about October and November, but I said Golovkin's in December. They've got him penciled in, and if I had the schedule in front of me, I know there's some other fights that are being talked about in the fall. They haven't exactly signed them yet, but in the near future, man, we got some really, because that's great. See, that Eddie Hearn is that word too that Charles likes so much, because see, he's thinking, look, if Fury takes care of business, Joshua takes care of business, boy, that even makes it bigger. So if all goes that way, and I watched Eddie being interviewed, and he was royally pissed because he was told by everybody, Bob Arum was supposedly running the thing, that don't worry about that arbitration. Don't worry, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So when he heard the news, he said he was totally floored by that, but he's bouncing back, and now he's got Joshua and Usyk, and that's a good fight, Frank. I mean, that's one we should talk about too. That's an intriguing fight.
Yeah.
So yeah, the next few months, man, boxing has really got some big ones, and of course, don't forget, you've also got Oscar De La Hoya coming back too, Frank. So don't forget about that. I knew I'd get a reaction. Charles.
Okay.
Charles is looking at me like, did he just say that? I mean,
did he just say that? Well, okay, and I know, yeah. So we've got Shakur Stevenson coming up. We've got Teofimo Lopez. We've got Devin Haney. We've got Deontay, everybody that we've been talking about in the last year is fighting within the next few months. So, well, most everybody. So that's pretty good. We still don't see where we're going to get Gary Russell, but we're just going to keep harping on that because it's kind of fun to say.
His brother's fighting, Frank. His brother's fighting on Saturday. His younger brother's fighting. He's 13-0, so there you go.
Well, somebody in that family's got to fight. Maybe they fight each other one day.
He's Gary Russell also.
But yeah, we're getting to the point where, again, and when I said 3 years ago or how long it was ago that boxing was dying, I didn't mean it should be. It was just we weren't seeing this kind of activity, and now we are starting to see it. Which, if that's a prodding to that, I don't know. But it looks like it's a little bit more active, and part of that probably is because everybody's been inactive for the last year or so. But it looks like we're putting things back together. So I think what we're going to do in the next few months is very important. And we've got a lot we can talk about, a lot of things we can do, a lot of things we can show. And I think, as Charles said, and I think that what they should do is kind of on that same vein. They need to promote these fights to us. So they say, we actually went out and are doing something other than just signing a contract. I think the promotion of Spence Pacquiao is going to be phenomenal. But I think what's going to be more interesting, because there's the history, is the promotion of the Fury Wilder fight. Because there's bad blood, whether it's true bad blood or not. We don't know the state of where Deontay Wilder is, both physically as a fighter or mentally as a fighter. And then some of the things he said that were just completely off the wall in the last few months. And we've got, one of the best self-promoters out there in Tyson Fury. So that's going to be fun. And then all the other things are going on. I think we're in for a whirlwind for the next 3 or 4 months. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys doing this. Again, folks, find us, locate us. We've figured out a couple of things to do on social media that'll make this more accessible. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to write us, call us, send up a smoke signal, whatever it takes, we will make it work. So thanks again, gentlemen. Thanks one more time. And we are.
Take care.
Bye-bye.